Hi folks, this is Shane here. Welcome back. Well, we have some pretty big news. I have taken a contract position 6 to 9 months in Santa Clarita, California. We're going to pack up this rig and all our stuff and head west. Alright, so I've only towed this rig since from the dealer to this current location, so we literally only have maybe 5 or 6 miles on the rig. So we've got quite a bit of little preparation to do. When things sit for a long time, they tend to get placed out more like it's a house, and so it's time to start getting things set up for moving, and getting this rig ready to go on a very long haul. So it's a little over 2,000 miles. I think it's 2,100 miles from here in Grand Rapids to the Santa Clarita area. So this weekend will be our last weekend here. Grand Rapids has the Gerald R. Ford Presidential Museum, and we've been there once before, but we didn't film it. So we thought, well, where I'm headed is real close to Simi Valley, and we definitely want to see the Rving Museum. So we thought, well, we're here, why don't we see the Gerald R. Ford Presidential Museum? And so we're going to do that. We're going to go back to the Gerald R. Ford with our GoPro and do some filming there so you can see what it looks like. Those things are really cool to see. So it's worth recording, going back again and recording it. Okay, here we are at the Gerald R. Ford Presidential Museum, which is in downtown Grand Rapids. It's located right off the 131. You don't have to go to public parking. You can actually go right to the museum and park in the parking lot directly in front of the museum. And the ticket that you get to go into the museum is good for your parking there. And there's also another museum which is right across the street, which is the Grand Rapids Public Museum. You can see it right there. So that's another nice place to come and tour. We've been there as well.
It's right off the freeway.
Yeah, it's right off the freeway. And it's very easy to get here. And then there's a number of eateries. You cross the river and you can go to the Bob or a number of other places to eat in the area. I'm not sure, but I think this is part of the Berlin Wall. Yeah, really cool.
He had an open door policy. If you had an urgent issue, you could bring it to him, and he would hear it. In fact, I can recall events where I did bring issues to him, and where I had a difference with, for example, the Office of Budget on a program. And he would sit at the cabinet table. He would hear it.
It's Ford's cabinet advisors. Henry Kissinger, Don Rumsfeld, Caspar Weinberger, Alan Greenspan, and George H.W. Bush, who himself would later become president.
He was an unassuming man, our 38th president, and few have ever risen so high with so little guile or calculation. Even in the 3 decades since he left this city, he was not the sort to ponder his legacy, to brood over his place in history. And so, in these days of remembrance, as Gerald R. Ford goes to his rest, it is for us to take the measure of the man. It's hard to imagine that this most loyal of men began life as an abandoned child, facing the world alone with his mother. He was devoted to her always, and also to the fine man who came into their lives and gave the little boy a name he would carry into history. Gerald and Dorothy Ford expected good things of their son. As it turned out, there would be great things, too, in a journey of 93 years that would fill them with loving pride.
Interesting that during his presidency we celebrated our 200th anniversary as a nation. President Ford is also a World War II vet. It's the aircraft he served on during World War II. South Pacific.
The White House announces Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. Thank you to WOR for further development.
With more time and distance from the Watergate crisis, enables his many achievements to stand out.
President Ford came to the Oval Office with a reservoir of respect, and he had to restore the confidence of the nation, shaken to its core by the ultimate betrayal that the American people felt Watergate was.
As I said in my inaugural address, President Ford healed this nation.
I think he saved the country. In fact, he saved it in such a matter-of-fact way that he isn't given any credit for it.
At a time of national turmoil, America was fortunate that it was Gerald Ford who took the helm of the storm-tossed ship of state. Unlike many of us at the time, President Ford recognized that the nation had to move forward, could not do so if there was a continuing effort to prosecute former President Nixon. So President Ford made a courageous decision, one that historians now say cost him his office, and he pardoned Richard Nixon. I was one of those who spoke out against his actions then. But time has a way of clarifying past events. And now we see that President Ford was right. His courage and dedication to our country made it possible for us to begin the process of healing and put the tragedy of Watergate behind us. He eminently deserves this award, and we are proud of his achievement.
I don't know how we would have made it out of the mid-70s without a leader like that. I look at the politics today, and so many want to gain their preeminence by hitting someone else. He gained his preeminence because he was lifted by all those around him. and always he gave of himself. We really have to think of him as a great man. But overseas, we took a hit with Cambodia and Vietnam, and his stalwart support of not only the troops, but also the Vietnamese who had rallied to our side. We took thousands of refugees in because we knew that they would be slaughtered if they had been left behind.
He was no isolationist. He understood the value of alliances, and he was especially committed to the NATO alliance. He helped to initiate or keep going some important weapons programs that were in the early development stage and didn't really come to be fielded until 10 or 15 years later, programs such as the M1 tank, the Tomahawk missile.
I think he laid down some good predicates on negotiating with the Soviets that I could learn from and that were helpful.
All right. It's a really nice museum there. I really like how they show his character. A man that became president at a time when the country was in really a lot of turmoil. And I think over here is his grave site, where he's buried, him and his wife. So we're gonna walk over here and check this out. Alright, so one of the quotes I really liked in the Presidential Museum, Ford says that although you didn't elect me by your ballots, he asked that you would confirm him by your prayers. And that's something we all need to remember, to pray for our president and the government, because if we pray for it, its well-being becomes our well-being. Another thing that we heard, and I'm not sure who was quoting it, but as we were walking through the museum, someone said that any government that is big enough to give you all that you want is also big enough to take away all that you have. So it's a caution that government is a necessary component, but it's something that has to be kept in check. So this is our tour of the Presidential Museum, of the Gerald R. Ford Presidential Museum, and we'll see you next time.